I'm in Ljubljana, capital city of Slovenia. I mean, I was born in Romania, and after I finished my studies, I moved to Slovenia. So I lived in Slovenia for quite a long time, and then I got a job opportunity in Zagreb, the capital city of Croatia. And actually, it was there where I got my first idea for the book. But after I quit my job, I decided to take some time off. And it was a perfect idea, to go to the seaside. So I moved to the city of Šibenik, which is in Dalmatia, so the southern part of Croatia. And it is really, I mean, not just inspiration for writing, but, it's walking by the sea every day. It's enough. I mean, at least for me.
Yeah. How long did it take you to write your story there?
I actually wrote it within 3 to 4 months, but I didn't write every day. So it was like, I just took every day. I mean, if I felt like writing, I wrote. If I felt like going to the beach, I went to the beach. So I didn't make any deadline. And initially, I didn't even plan to publish it. It was just something that I wanted to put on the paper.
Gotcha.
Or better say, in the computer.
No, I understand. And then you printed it, and now it's actually a book, right? You can get a paperback and buy the online version on the internet, on Amazon.
It's that I want to publish. Mm-hmm. So now it's available. I mean, since last year, it's available in ebook and paperback.
Tell me a little bit about the story itself.
So, Magnetic Reverie, my debut novel. Okay, first of all, it's a love story. It's a story of Lana, the main character, which she actually lived in Slovenia. Okay, she's beautiful. She has long red hair. But you can see many beautiful women around the world. But what is special about her? She has a very strange dream, the kind of dream that has continuation night after night. And what happens? Okay, here it's, of course, I mean, everything is fiction, and here it's a little bit of fantasy, or how to call it. But in her dreams, she fell in love with somebody. And to go a little bit back, I said Lana, she's Slovenian, but she moved to USA because she got married with a Greg, an American guy. Mm-hmm. But in her dreams, she was actually back in Slovenia. So she didn't know how to explain herself. These dreams, they were like sometimes she was thinking like maybe she's homesick, or maybe she just miss I don't know, some places from Slovenia, or maybe she was even considering maybe it was not the best decision to go to US. Maybe she was supposed to go back to Slovenia. But what was surprising is that during her dreams, she was supposedly in a relationship with another person for a very long time, but she couldn't remember anything. She couldn't remember that she ever saw this person in her life. And what surprised her the most was that the other person was a woman.
Oh, okay.
And her name is Claire. And that Claire was in love with her, and she kept telling her that about their relationship, which Lana found very strange. So each time she was dreaming of anything related to Claire, on one side she found it, at the beginning she found it strange, then she started finding it interesting. At the beginning she was even trying to find explanations why she's having these dreams. At one moment she just let it go with the flow. because she was thinking it's a dream anyway. Why shouldn't she enjoy it?
So they're like soulmates.
Yes. At the end, it turns out
just
that.
through the dream. So that's a fascinating story. Is there
Yeah, I
magic
mean,
involved? Is it fantasy, or is it just the connection between these two people who have yet to meet?
no, it's their connection because the only piece of fantasy is the fact that she's having these kind of dreams with continuation, but everything else it's I think many people could relate to. And even though she considers herself being heterosexual her whole life, she realized that she can fall in love with a woman, not because I mean she didn't. Okay, at moments she's trying to define. Okay, what does this make her? Is she bisexual? Is she lesbian? But at the end, the conclusion is that you just fall in love with a person, no matter of the gender.
Gotcha. And you're just human. I mean, you just fall in love. That's what your job is, right?
I mean, you cannot stop the feelings. If you feel for somebody, then everything is right.
So this is your first time ever writing fiction?
Yes.
And that's very fascinating. So you never wrote short fiction or anything of that nature prior to putting words on paper for this novel?
No. Regarding this novel, it was, as I was mentioning you at the beginning, I was working in Zagreb and I was commuting weekly, Zagreb, Ljubljana. So I had some, I was traveling about 2 hours. And during these trips, I did a lot of stuff. I was reading, listening to music, talking with other people, working. But one day I got this idea. I don't know from where. The idea just popped into my head. And I was not even thinking to write a book, The idea just came. And just the initial idea was including a man in the dreams, not a woman. The moment I started writing the book, I realized that I don't want my book to be just another triangle love story. I want to have a purpose. I want to have a message. So when I wrote it, yes, it is presented as a love story, but I do want, and I hope I managed to transmit the message that it's okay to fall in love with a person of the same gender, even if you consider yourself heterosexual. And also, I described how a person being gay feels, at least in this part of the world. Because people
that's what I'm most interested in, because you're writing from a former Eastern European country too. I mean, if you were in America, maybe Western Europe, it would be a totally different story. In some countries, nobody would even bat an eye. Like, okay, that's interesting, but it's not unique. But you're writing East European women having these feelings, and how does that go culturally?
Okay, it's true within the, I mean, in time things will change here too. There are some people which they are perfectly fine. They accept everybody no matter of their choices, but there are still a lot of people that criticize, that are showing very clearly judgments towards this gay community, and these things will take a lot of time to change. And I know some people that they simply keep their relationship even from their family or friends, just because they know they are going to be judged.
I mean, it's the same in Italy too, isn't it? It's not a very liberal place sexually. Either.
Yeah, I cannot say that. I mean, I have just traveled to Italy. I don't know much about the mentality and the culture, But so I know a lot of things from what I read on internet or saw in movies or documentaries. But I do believe, I mean, I think also in US, as far as I made my researches, in the bigger cities, yes, it is widely accepted and everybody knows, and maybe they don't even comment anymore or they don't make any bad. I mean, they don't make the gay people feeling bad. But I think there are other, I don't know, in the southern part of US, I think there are still people against it.
In the Western parts too, yeah. It's interesting because, I mean, there are more liberal thinking individuals that don't care. You know, love who you want to love, be happy, live your life. You only get this one chance. And there are other people that just want to judge you endlessly.
Yes.
And either you fit their mold of what they think a human should be, or you are bad and you're going to, you know, hell or something along those lines, or whatever the hell stupid thing they think. But I think it's incredibly interesting. I mean, we know what Russia thinks. You know, this gigantic culture over there in Moscow say that homosexuality is completely wrong and we'll throw you in prison and all that horrible stuff. And I mean, you live in Croatia now or Slovenia?
Slovenia.
Yeah, same thing, right? I mean, there's a very harsh kind of culture, I would imagine. Former Czechoslovakia.
You know, the young generation is very open, but the old generation will still, I mean, I cannot say for everybody, but majority will be still judgmental.
And also, the interesting thing for me is that you decided to write this novel in English instead of your. Why did you decide English instead of, what language do you speak? You speak like 3 languages, don't you?
Yeah, I speak Romanian, okay, my mother language, and Slovenian, Croatian. But by the time, I mean, at the moment I started writing the book, okay, my Croatian is okay. I mean, I can understand, people can understand me, but I do make a lot of mistakes. I'm sure about it. Although, I don't know, maybe my colleagues were very friendly and they were giving me only compliments, but still I didn't feel like Croatian can come into account when writing a novel. So it was at the beginning, I was thinking, should I write it in Romanian, which would be the first logical choice, or Slovenian, because it was the language I was thinking in. You know, when you live for a longer time in one country, you speak the language, then you start thinking in that language. So I was like, you know, deciding between Slovenian and Romanian. At one moment, I was thinking, why shouldn't I write it in English? And yes, of course. I mean, you know, you can hear my English, and as I'm not born, I mean, in any of the English-speaking countries, it was not my my forte point.
Your forte, yeah, I gotcha.
But you know, I'm not afraid of challenges. So I said, you know, I can give it a try, because as I mentioned to you at the beginning, I didn't write it to publish it. I just wrote it because I wanted to write the story.
Yeah, I find that the most fascinating. And they say that people who can speak more than one language, it does something to the logic of their brains. It opens up possibilities that, like, somebody from like me, for instance, who only speaks English, would never really comprehend. It makes you look at the language in a different way and shape it, and I find that fascinating.
Yeah, and it is true. It happened a few years ago. I met someone that spoke 7 languages, but you know, like English, okay, English, French, Romanian, and then Japanese.
Japanese, wow.
And it was like, oh my God, you know, I understand, okay, French, Romanian, because her parents were, one was Romanian, one was French. English, I understand, because, you know, you learn it in school, and it is, you know, somehow it's normal when you hear that somebody speaks English. But when I heard Japanese, it was like, you know, and I looked at that person, and I do believe that she really spoke all those 7 languages. But she told me that the more languages you learn, the faster you learn the next one, because your brain is forming that kind of logic also, that maybe you mentioned, you're related to this also before, that you can make so fast connections and you can find similarities, or you form yourself a way how to understand better, and faster than when you learn just your first foreign language.
What language was your second language after your mother tongue?
Actually, it was French.
Interesting.
So, in school I had French, and the second one was English, and I didn't like English. I liked French, but when I went, in the third year of high school, they cut off English, they cut off French, so we're left with English. So when I went to university, I was supposed to mention which was the first foreign language, but because I had a gap of 2 years, I chose English. So since that moment further, I improved my English, and I left, unfortunately, French at the level of 16 years old.
Can you go to France and pick it up?
Yeah, I go there, I understand a little bit. I can say Je m'appelle Nicole, but
That means your name is Nicole?
Yes, exactly. And I know one of the first sentences that I learned in a French class was "Je vais à marché." This means I go to the market. So these two phrases, statements, I can say. I think I will know them by heart until the day I die. But the rest, I don't remember anymore. I can understand.
But it probably wouldn't take you very much to pick it up. I mean, you know some of the verbs. You know how to conjugate some of the verbs. So, I mean, going to
if I would like to regain my knowledge, I think I wouldn't need long. But it is just, that I don't know. We finished the university, we finished our studies, but we never stop learning. So I always learn something, and I don't find the time to learn everything that I want to learn.
I went to Italy a few years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, and lived in Rome for about 6 weeks. And I was really impressed with how much of the language I was picking up. And I'm pretty certain that if I had stayed there longer, I would have been fluent in Italian.
For sure.
And we're so cut off here. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing about having such a gigantic country in the U.S. is that we have Mexico in the south, but we're surrounded by English. I mean, there's very little opportunity to learn. When Mexicans come to the United States, they speak English. They don't typically try to communicate with you in Spanish. But man, I'm looking at Google Maps right now, and I've highlighted where you wrote your novel. I'm just looking at all the various languages that are surrounding your creative efforts. You have Italy just right across the Adriatic Sea.
Yes.
Hungary is just an amazing place for languages as well. Romania is right there. Serbia. Greece is down there. Albania. I mean, these are all places that speak a different language.
No, it is Romanian, Italian, French, Spanish. They are all Romanic languages. So they do have some similarities. For example, I can understand some of the Italian language, and I never learned Italian. Then there are Slovenian, Croatian, Serbian, Bosnian. They are all Slavic languages. So, and Bulgarian also. So they do have, if you know one, you can understand a little bit of the others.
A lot of based on
that. But then you have the Greek language. That I don't know. I never try to find out where is it's the origin of the Greek language.
That's interesting. Where did the origin? I mean, obviously it's an ancient language, right? I mean, it comes from, way back when Alexander spoke Greek, right? I mean, let's see the history of the Greek language. I'm gonna look that up because that's kind of curious.
Yeah, I know that I have a favorite. I think my favorite word is a Greek one, and it's parakalo, which means with pleasure. And it's I cannot explain why. And I always, whenever I went to Greece, I try to say thank you in their language, so they will answer me back, you are welcome or with pleasure in their language because of that specific word.
It's interesting. It almost seems like ancient Greece and ancient Latin, both of those languages died, but they fed what we know, right? I mean, there are so many little cognates that kind of float in and out of English and various other parts of that world too that you probably not even aware of. But Greek is such a unique language all by itself. It kind of stands alone, doesn't it? With their alphabet and everything.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. What did you get your degree in?
What? Can you please repeat?
You went to university, you mentioned, right?
Yes, I studied economy.
Economics. Wow. Okay. And now you're a novelist. You've written 2 of these things, 3 of these things, actually, huh?
Yeah, actually, when I quit my job, I worked all my career in sales and marketing. And when I decided to take a break, and people were asking me, what are you going to do? And then I said, I'm just going to write. And they said, what about marketing, right? And I said, no. And okay, it was a funny thing that some of my colleagues were asking me, okay, what are you going to write about? And I said, you know what? It's not going to be Dostoevsky. It's not going to be 50 Shades of Grey, but it's going to be something in between. And I think everybody was looking surprised at me, not because of Dostoevsky, but because of 50 Shades, because they couldn't see myself, me writing something similar to that. Okay, I didn't write something similar to that. It was just my way of joking.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I surprised everyone, including myself. I mean, I did when I was a child. I was writing from time to time. Some either was a thing that I dreamt about that I found a little bit different than any other dreams, or I was writing some poetry. But I was like a very rational child and teenager. I just wanted to earn a good life. So I knew I have to go and study. And I went for economics because it was after the communism time in Romania, where it was a trend in that moment either to go to study economics or law. And I chose economics.
It's very fascinating that you got to experience the
Yes.
communistic lifestyle in Romania.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about that. I mean, how old were you when the wall fell and communism ended?
I was 16.
16.
So yeah, I mean, as a child, I cannot. I mean, looking back, I can see many bad parts of the communism system, but I mean, while I was growing up, I couldn't feel so much. I didn't think it's a bad thing because it was the only thing that we knew.
Mm-hmm.
We had, for example, electricity cut off every day, and I was writing my homeworks using, I don't know, either a candlelight or a petrol lamp, but it was something that I knew this is it, and I just had
You
to
knew
find
that the electricity was going to get cut off. It wasn't like a surprise. You knew it was going to happen.
Exactly. And we knew we are going to have warm water, for example, 3 times per week between, I don't know, I don't remember now, but it was between 6 and 8. And fine. And everybody started, I mean, just was planning the time and all these things according to what was allowed. I know, for example, we didn't have much choices of food. And since then, I love green olives because it was rare that I had the opportunity to eat green olives. So one of my
That's so fascinating.
green olives because of that.
When you grew up, did you eat Romanian food?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was Romania. It wasn't like a lot of stuff was coming from outside of Romania, but you ate the homeland food of
No,
Romania.
nothing was coming from outside.
It's interesting.
It was, yeah. And it was, I mean, you know, I love Romanian food, and I think everybody, you know, you grow up and you eat the food your mother is preparing, and this is what your taste is developing based on that, and this you will probably love all your life. But I remember once my mother was asking me if I want to go with her and eat pizza. I had no
Whoa.
idea what pizza is, you know, and I asked her, what is that? And she explained me, you know, it's a little, you know, it's a piece, you know, she explained me like a slice of pancake bread, and you have on top of that, you know, some meat, some ketchup or something.
Oh,
And I said, oh no, I don't want to eat that. And
no,
she
that
was
sounds
like,
horrible. I don't want to eat that either.
yeah.
And pizza is like the reason I have all my health problems. I can't stand that. No, I mean, if it was actually pancake with ketchup on top of it, I would not be eating no pizza ever in my life. That's horrible. So, but you
No,
had pizza for the first time, and what was it?
I had, I mean, not in that moment, you know, she didn't manage to convince me, but when I went to university, you know, when you live in the student campus and you don't cook, you know, you do not have where to cook, so you eat on sandwiches, and then I discovered pizza.
Yeah, and it wasn't pancake with ketchup.
No, and you know, the more I ate it, the more I liked it, and even now, I think pizza is one of the one kind of food that I'm going to eat wherever I go, because it cannot go that wrong. You know
And
what
it's
to
always
expect.
different, isn't it? No matter where you go, it's always a little bit different.
Yes, and I'm surprised. I never ate a good pizza in Italy.
Never.
No, okay, I cannot say that. I mean, I was there like, I don't know, 5 times, but maybe either it was a bad luck or I didn't know to pick the right place.
I don't know. I ate a lot of good pizza in Italy, and I went down to Naples, and that's where pizza originated. That's where they invented it.
Yeah,
Best
I
people in
know.
my life came from Naples, and I live in New York City, so I live in pizza capital of the world.
Yeah, so yeah, this was pizza during, I mean, okay, this was after communist time, but didn't got me. I do remember when I was in university, the first year of university, and the first McDonald's opened up in Bucharest.
Hmm.
And I mean, people, including me, were waiting in queue for, I don't know, I think an hour to get inside and get your cheeseburger, hamburger, whatever. And for us, it was like, you know, as students, we didn't have much money. So it was like whenever we could afford to go for a pizza or a hamburger, it was like, wow.
A special time.
Also, Pizza Hut, I remember when it opened in Bucharest again, you know,
That's
people were
crazy.
just waiting because it was this, you know, in this part of Europe, but Romania especially, whatever, whatever something is from US, it has a higher value. And being closed in the communism, we did have a lot of Russian things. I mean,
Hmm.
this was something allowed, but not American. So when, you know, let's say that the door was opened, everything that was from US was like, okay, just come in. I will love it. I will love it no matter if I don't know what it is, you know, just because it's American.
Have you ever been to the U.S.?
Yes, I have been, but not so many places. So I have been to Washington. Uh, so that's why
Oh,
I chose
or the
Washington
capital,
D.C. Yes,
D.C.
I
Okay.
chose Washington D.C. as a location in my book because I saw it, so I knew how to. It was easy to talk about it.
Hmm.
I have been to Boston
Oh, okay.
and I loved it. After that, they told me. I mean, I remember when I reached Boston, I was there like half a day, and then I talked to my sister, and I told her I think I could live here. And but I never. I mean, I was just that time, but I never even thought about it then. But then they told me that Boston is like the American city that is very close to European cities. I don't know if it is that true or not, but this is what some people told me.
I've never been to Boston.
Okay, so we'll have to ask someone else.
Yeah, I mean, I would say New York is a very European-like city. I mean, it's a world city. It's a global city.
Yes, I
It's hard to
have never
say
been
because,
yet
man,
to New York.
European cities are very unique. And I've been to Amsterdam and I've been to Rome. Rome is very chaotic, but still it has that quaintness. I've lived in Germany for a little while. So, I mean, when I think of European cities, I think of places that, you have an area and you could live in your area and never really have to leave if you don't want to.
No,
Very
yeah.
welcome.
I mean, I love to travel. This is my main hobby, but I think I think I will never leave Europe. So I want to make a road trip through US, but I would still prefer to be in Europe because here, you just drive half an hour, 1 hour, and you are in a different city, in a different country.
Yeah, another country. Yeah, I love it too. I love Europe a lot. I would give up my my citizenship here if I could live in Europe in a heartbeat.
You can still keep your citizenship and come live over here. So
What's that?
you can still keep your citizenship, but you can still come to Europe.
Yeah, then my wife would have to quit her job, and when I was younger, I
Yeah,
wish I had done it. It was never the right time, unfortunately. The army and college and trying to make a living for yourself. It's like, when do you do that type of stuff? And unfortunately, I never actually made the decision to do it. So I'm jealous that you were able to, explore all these different countries and learn all these different languages. And the funny thing is, you live in an area of the world where English isn't even the first language, and you wrote 2 novels in my language. It's pretty impressive.
yeah. Okay, first of all, I wanted to add to what you said before. It's never too late for anything, but still, yes, some things. I mean, you can make peace with yourself. You live in US and you will stay in US, but you can always try at least to travel to this part of the world.
Yeah, traveling is definitely a lot of fun.
Yes.
And then I just get heartbroken because I just want to live there. I love Amsterdam. I think it's my favorite city ever is Amsterdam. I would live there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I was there twice, and yeah, it's a really an amazing city.
And last time I was
And
there was in the middle of February, and it was still an amazing city. I mean, February is like the worst time of the year for any place. And it was still beautiful.
yeah, I mean, February this year in Europe was terrible. I don't know how was weather over there, but here I have the feeling that the spring is never going to come. I think the last time it snowed was 5 or 6 days ago.
Wow.
And we had also temperatures like -10, -13. So it was like, okay, when is going? And I also had the flu. So I was not supposed to go outside, okay, but also I was not supposed to go outside because of the weather, and because then my flu is going to get worse. So it's like you love the snow, but then you just, after snowing so long, so many times, you just say, oh, not again.
Yeah.
And then I have a friend in Šibenik. So in the southern part of Croatia, it's very rare. It's snowing, and
Wow.
yeah, and her son is 9 years old, and saw, he never played with snow until last December, and I went with them in Zagreb, and he was so happy, playing with the snow and just, laying in it. He didn't care he was wet. He didn't. He was just happy that okay, his dream came true. And after that, we are talking from time to time, and each time I was telling him, "Here it's snowing again," but with a disappointing note in my voice, and he said, "Oh, lucky you." And I was telling him, no, I said, I have enough of this snow. And he said, no, why doesn't it snow over here? So yeah,
I just had
whatever
to
seems,
I just had to
yeah.
dig my van out of 3 feet of snow. I just had to dig it out
Ah,
completely.
so you do also have it.
Oh yeah, it's all over the place right now. We just had a horrible, horrible storm. So spring is not hitting here, and it's spring, isn't it? Didn't spring already arrive? First day of spring
Calendarly,
happened.
yeah, but let's say that we are in 10th of March, so it's still a little bit of hope that is going to be. I mean, yesterday was a very nice and sunny day, and today the wind was warmer, so I do believe that the spring is going to come. So what I can propose to you, in case that snow is going to be still over there, you should plan your trip to Europe.
I would love it. I would love it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going
And
to
on
happen,
on the
unfortunately.
seaside, now being out of the season, you can get accommodation with very low price.
On the seaside?
Yes.
Oh. Where would you like to go if you had anywhere at your
On the
disposal?
seaside.
You would just travel to the sea, the Adriatic Sea?
Yeah, because it's very easy for me to go there, and also knowing the places and knowing the language. And I also have friends over there.
Do you have kids?
No.
The worst thing you can do is travel with children. The worst thing. We went to Hawaii last year with our toddlers. Oh my God. It was so exhausting. I never want to do it again.
But I'm sure when they are going to grow up, you are going to be sorry because they are not small anymore.
Yeah, that's what they say, isn't it? You always regret what you don't have.
Yeah, yeah. But I do remember I was in Tunis on it was some kind of resort, and there were their families with children, single, so all everything mixed up.
Hmm.
But at one moment, the families that they have had children, the wives were participating into some lessons for cooking or something typical Tunisian, and the fathers were left at the pool taking care of their kids. And yes, the look on their faces was not like, "Oh, how sweet you are and how much we love you." It was like, "I wish to be somewhere else right now," you know. And
Oh,
they were
it's
saying
sad. I feel
something,
the same exact way sometimes with my children. Unfortunately, I love them so much. I love them so much, but man, my wife will leave me with them. And I was a stay-at-home dad for a little while when they were infants. I mean, I was there when they were babies, changing diapers, and
and how
sometimes, I mean, I just can't control them and make them calm down.
are they twins?
Yes, they are twins.
Ah,
They're going to be
so
3
that
in
yeah,
April.
uh-huh. So they are big now.
Yeah, they're bigger.
Yeah. My sister, she has three children. She lives in Canada, and each time I visited her, I was like, playing with my niece and nephews from the morning till the evening, and I was like, uh, happy, that they like to play with me, and they were happy. And then she said, "Well, it's easy to be to spend with them a day or two. Try being with them every day. Then you'll not have every day the joy to play their
No.
games."
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's a great feeling to know that you've propagated the species, but at the same
yes,
time, you really can't
it
wait for them
comes
to
with a
grow up,
price.
and you don't want to miss anything either. It's a conundrum all the way through. Um, so what is it that prevented you from having kids of your own? Did you decide not to go in that direction?
No, it was just not possible.
It doesn't work out.
Yeah, so but otherwise, I love kids, and I mean, I would be happy. I would love to have at least one of my own, but when something is not possible at one moment, you just try to make peace with yourself, and then find like good sides why it is good it is like that. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't find one except what you mentioned before. It's easier when you travel. And also, it was like when I was offered the job to go to Zagreb, it was easy to accept it because I didn't have kids.
Yeah.
So there are some good sides. They do not compensate the fact that you do not have it. But I mean,
And the best part about it is you get to love kids for the rest of your life without ever having to think about how hard it was to have kids.
Yeah, but I'm a very empathic person. So for me, I remember last time I was traveling by bus, and across from me was a little girl, and she was so sweet. And at one moment, she started crying. And I almost felt, I mean, I had tears in my eyes just looking at her.
Oh.
And when these things are happening, I'm thinking, how would it be if I would have a child of my own? Would I cry each time my child would cry?
I hope not. You'd be dehydrated.
No, I can drink more water. This is not a problem. No, but anyway, the children are sweet, and I mean, I do love my. I have three nieces and two nephews. They all live. I mean, one lives in Austria. One niece lives in U.S. and the other three are in Canada. So I do not get to see them very often. But I do have some friends that I have children, so I'm trying to compensate by being a part of the children of others.
No, I understand. Well, that's good. I mean, looking on the bright side of things in that way, I mean, definitely I'm a little bit jealous that you don't have kids today anyway.
Okay, let's make a deal. We can decide. I can come to babysit for
There
1
you go.
week.
There, you can have them for 1 week.
But I do recommend you test me at least for a day. Because you never know. I can say, oh, I can play with them, but I don't know. Okay, now they do not have any more diapers, probably.
Yeah, they're still on diapers. They're getting diaper. They're getting potty trained, but not necessarily there 100% yet. Speaking of kids, I've interviewed Andre Govier a few times.
Oh yeah.
And I see that his daughter is one of the helped you edit your novel. How did you guys meet?
Actually, both of my novels. It's very interesting. I mean, starting the author career, let's say, I also started connecting on social media with fellow authors.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's like when you have a job, you go there, you have your colleagues at work, but when you are an author, you have actually colleagues all over the world.
That's true.
And it is always helpful to find at least few of them with whom you can exchange opinions, concerns, or even good things, And so I don't remember exactly. We came into contact on Twitter or on Facebook, but I remember he wrote me something, and I wrote him that I'm sorry, but right now I'm like really pissed off, so I cannot chat. And then he asked what happened, and then I told him the reasons because I had an issue with my first book being I didn't self-publish directly, but I went through a self-publisher.
Mm-hmm. India, right?
India, yes. And then actually this was the first topic. I mean, you know him. He's a great person, a great listener, and he got cross the moment I explained him my problems. He was like, "Come on, this is not possible," and he immediately offered to help with ideas, with advices, and everything. And one of the issues that I had. So in the package that I paid to this Indian publisher was editing included.
Uh-huh.
And I received some comments from some people. I mean, actually, it was one author from India that she loved the story, but she gave me only 4 stars review because there were some editing issues. And I was so, I mean, you know, I have nothing against, I don't expect everybody will love my work, but not because of the editing. I mean, not because of something that I paid someone to do. And
you expected professionalism.
Exactly. I mean, I paid a lot of money, and I also, I was I was involved in this process so much that if I wasn't that much involved, the end result would be awful. But because it was, you know, my book, I wanted, you know, to give my best from my side to have the best result as possible. So then I was talking with Andre, and like that we came. I mean, he at one point he proposed that Hannah could take a look, and like that, I also the second book was edited by Hannah Govier.
Had you signed a contract with the Vanity Press in India?
Yes, I signed a contract, and I stopped the contract this year at in the beginning of this year because I had enough.
Yeah, vanity presses are horrible.
But yeah, you know what is I mean, I don't want to think that I'm stupid, but I think I was a little bit stupid. Before writing the book, I went to Canada to visit my sister, and my brother-in-law bought me a book called How to Write a Novel and Get It Published, right? And inside, before actually signing the contract, I read the book, and it was written, be careful of the vanity publishing. But you know, when you start this, you have, even if I read the book, I didn't get that the publisher that I went with in India is a vanity publisher, because you know their presentation was so good. I mean, you know, I work in marketing, but I still fall for marketing approaches. So the presentation was very good. The way, you know, the communication at the beginning, everything was at a good level, you know. So they didn't indicate at all that there is any sign that I'm not going to be satisfied with them. But this was up until I paid all the money.
Yeah.
And then everything just went down.
Well, you know what's also interesting to me is that you came from marketing too, correct? That was your career.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that your career has helped you in terms of getting your book under people's eyes?
Okay, on one side, yes, it helped me because I did have some knowledge. You know, I know what means Google ads, Facebook ads, and you know, you have your target, writing a post. What do you have to do to create engagement, to create impression, or if you want to create purchase? You know, I have these basic knowledges, and also I have a knowledge of, because when you become a writer, when your book is out there, you have to actually create yourself as a brand. So I did have.
That's the hardest part for me.
Yeah, but but the marketing is not helping me. Looking at the fact that every year they say 1 million books are launched.
Like 3,000 a day, yeah. Being self-published anyway, right?
Yeah, so how to make, I mean, readers are out there, but how to make your book visible to all the readers out there? I mean, not to all of them, at least 1%. This is, I mean, you can be a marketing expert, but if you do not have a lot of money to invest, then you don't make, like, you know.
So what's the solution, do you think? Is there one, or do you wait? Do you bide your time? Do you keep writing books? Do you just...
Yes, so first of all, I don't know if you watched the movie about J.D. Salinger. The author of Catcher in the Rye.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was last year. The book about his life, the movie about his life, Rebel in the Rye. It's called.
Mm-hmm.
And
I didn't see
was
it.
okay. Now for me, it was like enlightenment. I would say when I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I will not remember exactly the words, but it was like you should write and not expect anything.
That would help, right? I mean, I love writing. I hate
So
all the other aspects of it.
yeah, no. So the thing is, yeah. So if you love writing, you just keep on writing. Then, if you write because you want to sell the books and make money, then it gets a little bit complicated. So what I want, how I prioritize, how I have my focus, it's like I am okay. Part of my time it's towards promoting my work. Part of my time I'm writing and okay, connecting with the readers, also of my blog and of my books. But I'm trying not to expect anything. I'm happy each time somebody is telling me, I bought your book, I read your book, I loved it, I have a question, or I have this and that. But I do not make my own focus on the money. And okay, as I said, I took a break from the regular job, daily job, but I'm going to have it again.
Mm-hmm. Is that frustrating? Are you looking forward to it, or are you dreading it?
Um, I mean, if I would be able to continue this style, just to write and publish and do social media, promote and everything, I would be very satisfied. But I do believe, I mean, going back to the work field, having a daily job, um, it's going to be helpful also, not because of the financial side, but I'm I don't know how to explain it. So when you are just a simple reader of the books, you have no idea how it is to be a publisher. I mean, it is to be an author, a published author.
Mm-hmm.
You just read whatever you want to read. Either you heard about a book that is the bestseller, either you just saw something and caught your attention. You just read it. You don't care. Are you going to to write a review, or are you going to recommend a book? You just read, enjoy or not, and that's it. So it's easy for somebody that just loves to read. But what happened to me, being connected with so many people that write books, I had the feeling at one moment that everybody just writes books.
Right? That's what it feels
Yeah,
like. Before you write a book, it's like, oh, I'm alone. I'm unique. I wrote a book. And then you
yeah.
try to get it published. Like, oh, wait, there are lots of people that have written books too. I'm not really that special anymore.
Yeah, so that's why I believe that getting back a job is going to create a little bit of balance in my life.
I am
I
not
mean,
good about reading other people's stuff. I really don't like doing it because I feel like I'm stuck. I can't get past it. So I still read my own things. I just, whatever interests me, I just read. I'm incredibly selfish. I mean, I love talking to other writers. I love workshopping ideas back and forth, but I have a really hard time reading other writers' stuff that I'm not like finding naturally.
yeah, no, I mean, it is true that during this time, I connected with many indie authors, and I did read their work, and some of them are like really amazing. Okay, talking back to André Gauvier, I read his first two books, Liar, The Liar Girl,
Mm.
and even though they are meant for teenagers, or I found them really cute. And
I read
I,
one of his books, the Livy Girl book, the one about the uh, the syndrome, the Rett syndrome.
yeah,
You know what that
reading
was
like
called?
Yes, I had the honor to be a beta reader. for the book. And I mean, okay, talking with him, I knew a lot about the story, and it is a sad story, but in the same time, it is a remarkable thing what he's doing. You know, he's putting, not just that he wrote the book, that he took the time to talk with the family, but now, you know, he's so much involved in getting people to get to know about, you know, creating awareness, and also gathering funds, helping finding a cure for this terrible disease. So
That's
this
what's
is really, you
interesting
know,
about
like,
him also, right? He wrote Liar Girl to help children literacy. I mean, when he writes, he has a purpose behind it, which is very smart, I think.
yeah. But on the other side, for example, I read there is one also indie author from UK. Her name is Tina Marie Miller, and she published 2 books. The first, I mean, the way how we came into contact was like her first debut novel is Everything Happens for a Reason. And because I'm a believer in this, you know, I know we just say it. Sometimes we just say it as a cliche, but sometimes where we really mean it, and everything really happens for a reason. And due to my comment on the title of her book, we started talking, and she's an amazing person and such a talented author. And what I wanted to say from the beginning, so reading the work of an indie author, which some of them I found like really great work. I see it in the same time. I mean, I'm a little bit sad on the other side, because it is so hard nowadays to get traditionally published.
To get published traditionally.
Yes, and sometimes I read books published traditionally. I know I'm subjective, but some of them are just, you know, crap, really.
Well, I mean, they're trying to sell to anybody, to everybody. So they're not really writing, you know, crime and punishment. They're writing drivel in most cases.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to get into stuff sometimes. And then
so
just assume.
like in any other field in this world, there is not a fair world, unfortunately.
No, yeah, we don't live in a fair world at all. There are millions of people out there suffering, and whether or not, you know, we make money with our books is kind of trite in comparison to the suffering out there.
Yeah, but what is important, you know, if we love to write, we love to tell our stories, then even if we will not get the recognition that, let's say, we would like to have, or we think we would deserve it, we will still continue doing so because we love to write.
Yeah.
And getting back to the children, I know I said to my father, you know, in Romania, and I think in general, there is this tradition that when you have a son, the son carries on the surname of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And me being a girl, I mean, okay, I will not, I don't have children, but I told to my father, you know, the surname of our family is going to be, you know, in the history through my books.
That's very true.
So I did bring my, I played my role somehow. And then, as I said, whatever I wrote and whatever I'm going to write, I will always, like Andre does, you know, I'm doing it with a purpose. Either it's a message, you know, to help somebody, you know, winding up a little bit and let people live, you know, as long as somebody doesn't harm you or doesn't affect you, that because, you know, just let people love and be with whoever they want to be.
Yeah, just be with, just let people live. Leave them alone.
Yeah.
Let them be happy. As long as they're not hurting anybody, and they're seeking their own happiness, and there are 2 people being happy together, I mean, who cares?
Yeah, you know, because it's like, it's so easy to act like always being an analyzer of what your neighbor does.
Well, yeah, concern yourself with what you're doing. Don't worry about what your neighbor is doing.
I mean,
a lot less miserable.
As long as it's not too much noise so I can fall asleep, then I'm fine.
Right? No noise, no loud music, no parties. You're okay.
No, I live in a block, so I have on one side a family with a small child, and I do understand, the child will cry, so you cannot control that. But I do not understand parties until 5 a.m. During a weekday.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that for that, I'm capable to go over there and try them to shut it down,
Yeah, I have an older lady that lives on the one side, and she is so quiet, and we love her so much. She doesn't make any noise whatsoever. And that poor woman, she is right next to this family with 2 toddlers, and
No, but as I said, I believe everybody can understand, that children will, you cannot control them. Yes, okay, you can try to calm them down, but they can cry from different type of reasons. Either their
they're like
teeth
the
are
weather.
growing,
They can, one minute they're happy, and the next minute my children fight all the time. Fight with us, fight with each other. It's a fight with themselves. I mean, it's
So
like
they're not
endless.
fighting yet about which one is older or.
Not yet. My son is the younger one, and he acts like he's the older
You have
one.
a son and a daughter.
I have a son and a daughter. Yeah, I have both. It's really awesome. Being a parent is really cool, but it can be exhausting. It is exhausting, and there are no breaks.
Yeah, because when they sleep, you need to do some other stuff too. So until you go to sleep, so
Yeah.
yeah, but
So, what is on your list of things to do at this point? You said you're getting potentially back into marketing. You're going to go back into the workforce. Are you going to write another book also? Are you working on another book?
I started two. So with my the first two novels were part of a series. So for the moment, that series is closed. Although I did had some questions, like is going to be a third part? I think not. I do not like to prolong things too much, But so I would say never. But I think at this moment it's closed, and I have I have one idea for a novel, and so far I'm just into chapter 1. But in the same time, I want to write. I started writing something which is not like it will be a collection of short stories.
Oh, okay. Good for you.
Yeah, because this is something that I started to do through my blog. Though okay, the blog is they are short writings but I do want I hate seeing so much unfairness in this world. So I know I cannot make it fair just with a snap of the finger, but I do believe that every one of us can contribute. So this is my intention through this book. It's like, okay, my reflections for a better life, a different life. So, sometimes things can change just simply if you try to smile a little bit more and being a little bit more friendly towards your colleagues, your neighbors. Maybe you should treat your neighbor, you can buy her some cake tomorrow and tell her, thank you because you are putting up with our toddlers.
My wife takes care of that. We definitely appreciate her as a neighbor. She's amazing. We have a horrible neighbor that lives like 4 or 5 doors down, and we're just so thankful that we never have to deal with her.
Yeah, no, but it's like, I do believe that if everyone will do just a little bit,
Yeah.
or maybe, if everybody will take just 5 minutes and think about their lives, what do they do if they could do some things better, if they could be better parents, better partners, better colleagues.
Better
You know,
partners, yeah. It's
yeah,
hard. You get lost sometimes in your own bullshit. I mean, it's just like
yeah.
you really
No,
do
so
get lost. I mean,
I read a short time ago a book about slowness, being slow, the cult of slowness or something. And yeah, you know, we live in this fast world. We want everything fast. Uh,
fast.
we have to do it fast. You know, you are at work, you need, you know, you have deadlines, you have to bring results. The turnover should be bigger and bigger. The market share should be bigger and bigger.
Bigger and bigger, never shrinking, always growing. That's the world that we live in nowadays.
Yeah, and you know, so then we live fast. We get angry when you stop at a traffic light because you know it's simply red.
Somebody's in your way. Yeah.
Yeah. And we need to slow down a little bit. I know we cannot, like it was written in that book, you know, like all of a sudden we are all meditating and living Zen. It's not possible because this is where the world is right now. But if we try just from time to time, you know,
I think the world would be a better place if we could do it, honestly. I mean, if we could just slow down, the world just stops trying to grow.
yeah, it will be perfect, but
Yeah.
there is no remote control to do that, you know, for the world itself. And yeah, actually, this is a great idea. You know, you could, you know, I can write a book about someone finding the remote control to control the speed of the world.
Why not? Speculative fiction's my forte. I love it.
Okay,
Write
so
it.
you can you can get the idea.
No, I'll let you have it. I mean, you know, we've been talking for about 70 minutes now, and usually I end the podcast with asking, you know, 3 questions. And the first question is, you know, what advice would you give? And it kind of sounds like you've already given that advice. So slow down. Stop trying.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, the thing in the market right now, in the literary market, is you have to put book after book after book out. And you
yeah.
mentioned J.D. Salinger, and he wrote one book.
Yeah, no, actually, he wrote 2 or 3 books, but it was at one. I mean, okay, the Catcher in the Rye is the most known one.
That was the
Then
one
it
that
was
popped. Then he had a collection of short stories, and he just stopped writing. He stuck everything in a safety deposit box.
yeah, because you know he decided that it's not good for him because he became famous, and that being famous didn't bring him any good, and he just wanted peace to be on his own and away from everybody and write for himself. So he never published again.
Which is sad. He got blamed for a lot of stuff too. The
Yeah,
assassination attempt on Reagan and the killing of Lenin. I mean, his book was like in pockets of people who he didn't want to be associated with.
yeah.
But I think that's beautiful, though. Slow down, smell the roses, appreciate life. What else would you recommend for somebody that would come to you and say, "Hey, how do I write a novel?" Or "How can I, you know, be happy in my existence?" What would you say?
How do I write a novel? This is you ask me.
Sure.
You know, you just sit in front of the computer, or I mean, if you prefer, if someone prefers still pen and paper, you know, what you need to do, you need to have a little bit of quiet. You do not have to have any distractions. So if you have the idea what you want to write about, you have to take time on your own without the distractions to be able to put it on the paper. And yeah, never edit whatever you write. Just write. You
Just
know,
right.
as long
Yeah.
as it flows out of you, write. When you feel it doesn't sound anymore, like you are not satisfied, stop and continue next time when you feel like you are again full with inspiration and you are going to explode if you do not put it somewhere.
I definitely appreciate that. And my second question always is, what are you reading right now? What's on your Kindle? What's on your night table?
Right now, I'm rereading The Notebook.
Oh, okay. The movie, they made a movie with
Yeah, I saw the movie, but I think I saw it like 2, 3 years ago,
what's that guy's
and
name? His name is Nicholas something, isn't it?
I'm not good with names.
Uh,
So okay, I know your name and I know Andre's name and Tina Marie and you know my mother's, but
I
I
mean,
know
the
Donald
author of The
Trump.
Notebook. You don't know?
Yes,
You don't remember the author's name?
I think I will remember Nicholas Sparks.
Yep, that's it.
Sparks.
Nicholas Sparks. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do. Yeah, I this is again. I'm going to use the word forte. Names are not my forte, so I just live to learn.
I am with you there. I forget people's names all the time, completely.
Yeah, I do remember faces. If I meet,
It's interesting. It's like a one, or it's either or, isn't it? Either you're good with faces or you're good with names. If you be good with both of them, though, you'll probably be perfect.
Yeah, but there is no such thing as perfection.
That's true. And my last question is, where can we find you on the World Wide Web? Where are you locatable at?
I have my website, which is www.nicojjanes.com. So I think, I don't know, when I say Nico J. Janes, it doesn't, it's not the way how would you read my name.
Yeah, I would say
So,
jeans.
yeah, I know. So that's why for me, whenever I'm explaining someone, I say imagine J from Gemma and Nes from Nescafe.
So Genes.
Janes.
Genes. Oh, Genes.
Yeah.
Genes. Genes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a lot prettier than jeans, honestly.
Yeah, it is. But I have to have a lot of talks like this one that I let everybody know about the way how my surname is spelled.
Genes.
But then anyhow, I won't be upset if somebody would pronounce it wrong, as long as that someone finds out about me. So
It's interesting. It's easy to spell. I mean, it's just Genes. I mean, it's easy.
yeah. Yeah,
Man,
so there are all the data. I mean, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Goodreads, all the links are on the page. So
perfect. And I will make sure that in the show notes, I put all the information for people to be able to go back and check out what you're doing. And I really appreciate you taking the time this afternoon, or actually this evening.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah.
This evening to sit down and talk with me. I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you also. Yes, it was very pleasant for me also to talk with you. And it was, I just felt easy talking with you. You are a really pleasant. I wanted to say to use the word interlocutor, but I know it's not a very often used word.
What word?
Interlocutor.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I invented it. It doesn't matter. I do tend to invent words, but the thing is, the languages are evolving, right? So
Yes, we're joining. We're gonna have one global language in 100 years. That's my bet.
yeah, that would be great. That would be really, really great.
Just be a combination of everything.
Yeah, so thank you also, Bryan, for giving me this opportunity and having such an interesting talk.
Yeah, definitely.
And I wish you good luck with your writing and reading whatever you want to read.
Oh, I'm gonna read whatever I want to read.
Yeah, of course. No, this is the freedom. Everybody's going to read. I mean, it would be a pity to read something because you are forced to read. We did that when you were in school, right?
Yeah.
Now we don't have to do it.
Yeah. I mean, there are a few people out there that I wish I'd read their stuff, but I just get kind of not. I don't pay attention. It's hard because if you're like me, you have like 6 or 7 novels open, and you're like, I need to get back to that book and finish it. I can't start anything new.
And what is stopping you? The time?
Oh yeah, there's not enough time in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not enough time.
Yeah, well, even if we live slower, the day will still have only 24 hours.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's just a matter, I think, of better organization of our time. And maybe one advice I'm because I'm trying to tell myself every day, it's like, how would you live if you will think that every day is not the last day of your life, but the first day of your life. I want to be optimistic.
If every day was the first day of your life?
Yeah, so you wake up, okay, you do the things that you have to do. It's either taking care of the kids, taking them to the kindergarten, feeding the dog, or going to work. There are things that you have to do no matter. But the other, I don't know, let's say that you have half an hour. What would you do in that half an hour if it would be like the first day of your life? Would you do something new? Would you maybe finish the book, one of those 7 books that you started? Would you go to the neighbors, the one that you don't like, and maybe start to have a conversation that you are going to like them?
No. Not happening. She's a horrible person.
Yeah, or
What would I
would you
do?
go on web and try checking how much does it cost to go for 2 weeks on a tour, Croatia, Slovenia, Romania, Hungary, and so on?
I would love to do that. It's an interesting question because honestly, the first thing that pops in my mind is finish the dumb story that I've got going on right now.
Yeah, but this is because it is in your head. It's something that you have to do.
Yeah.
But it's not something that you want to do.
No, I do. I want to do it. I love finishing a story. I love being proud of my work. I love saying
you mean
this
the
is
story
something.
that you are writing?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I understood the one of the stories that you are reading. No, okay.
No, it's what I'm working on. That's most important. I have one short story that's driving me crazy right now, and novels that are halfway done. So, I mean, half an hour is like, okay, let's get busy. Let's do some work. Let's bust this out.
They say that the best time in a day for writing, it's in the morning.
Yes, I know. That's my time too.
Yeah, especially when you have children, it's also good.
Yeah, I usually wake up. I love waking up early before anybody else gets up, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's the best time. I get so much accomplished.
Yeah. So maybe, I don't know, maybe tomorrow, if it will be the first day of your life, you're going to get not just half an hour, but 45 minutes on that, and maybe leave, 3 or 4 emails to wait for the next day.
Yeah. I have no podcast tomorrow either, so it's all me.
You do not know yet. Tomorrow is the first day. You don't
I don't know what's going to be. That's right.
Yeah, you'll find out tomorrow.
Well, again, today I thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you and meeting you and getting to know you. And
yeah, thank you. Have a nice rest of the day.